Hello and welcome back to my workshop where today I will be flush setting a pendant. So today I will be taking a fairly simple design that I have created with my rose petal silver, which a lot of you may already know. If you don't, then you can check it out through my social media, Lorna Design, or my website, lornaromanenghi.com, and find out a little bit more about it. But basically I transform petals into metal, so it can be in rose petal silver, rose petal gold, whatever you want basically. But today I'm taking a very simple design, an oval pendant, and I am transforming it into something a little bit special by just simply adding a gemstone and a little touch of kienbu gold. I will be talking you through the process so you see me make it from start to finish. Or rather, almost from start to finish, because I've actually already made the pendant. But anyway, let's get started. So the tools I'll be using to flush set this beautiful 3mm amethyst in my oval pendant are, well, my stone for starters, a range of drill bits and setting burrs ranging from 1mm to 3mm of various shapes. I'll go more in depth during the course of this video on what shapes those are. I will be using these in conjunction with my pendant motor. I will also be using a dop stick, which is basically a handle covered in setter's wax that makes the setting process much easier. You can do it without a dop stick, but you are then at higher risk of hurting yourself while pushing. Believe me, I know of what I speak, and I have plenty of scars to prove it. So first things first, I'm going to figure out where I want my stone to go. I'm then going to mark this spot with a Sharpie and then create a sort of pilot hole with my punch or scribe, just to create a small indentation that will help my drill to catch on instead of sliding all over the place and ruining my piece. Once I've done that, I take my 1mm drill bit and drill all the way through my piece. I keep turning my piece as I drill in order to keep my drill hole straight. Now I've done this first drill hole without a dop stick to show you that it can be done, but from now on I will be using my dop stick. Let's face it, I've already got enough scars as it is and I don't really want to add any more. At this point I repeat the same drilling process as before, drilling all the way through the hole, but this time I'm using a 1.5 drill bit. I'm actually using a 1.5 ball burr instead of a drill bit, as I tend to prefer them, but at this stage it's completely up to you. Now I repeat the exact same thing with a 2mm drill bit or ball burr. It may seem silly drilling 3 times when I could go straight in drilling with a 2mm drill at the start, but it's actually vital to open the hole gradually to avoid injuries and mistakes that could cost you your job. Once I have my 2mm drilled hole, I move on to actually creating a nice comfortable seat for my stone to sit in. So now I take my 2.5mm ball burr or setting burr and drill about halfway through the metal. Also, little side note, always measure your drill bits before you use them to avoid mistakes. Again, I speak from experience. Now I come to the final drilling stage. I grab my 3mm setting burr and slowly burr down again to about halfway. Now keep checking the hole against your stone to check the fit and see how much further you have to drill, so go slowly during this process. You're aiming for the top of your stone to be flush with the surrounding metal. You may also need to widen your hole slightly if your stone is slightly bigger than your 3mm burr. Also, another little side note, make sure to use a little brush to brush away all the excess metal dust from the drilling process from your hole, as even the tiniest speck could crack your stone. Personally, I like to use a soft toothbrush. Once the stone sits the way I want it to sit, I can move on to the setting stage. Now for this part, I'll briefly talk you through what I'm doing, but it's a very tricky process that requires a lot of additional knowledge and experience. So if you are unfamiliar on how to use a push tool to set a stone, then I would recommend you start with an easier setting. The best way to learn is in person with a tutor. For that, I would highly recommend attending a stone setting class, and I would highly recommend Vanilla Ink Jewellery School here in Glasgow to do so, where I am actually one of the tutors. So I kind of have to recommend it, but truly it is the best school that I've ever found for learning jewellery techniques. I'll leave you a link to the website in the comments section of this video. If, however, you live a little bit too far away and there are no jewellery classes in your area, I would recommend using this book, Stone Setting by Scott McIntyre, which in my view is the best stone setting book out there. It gives you very simple to follow instructions and step-by-step tutoring on actually how to set stones in multiple ways. It's also got some very, very handy drawings in there to actually visualize what you're doing. I actually did a review of this book here on my channel if you want to learn more about it, and I'll also leave a link to where you can source it in the comments below as well. But in one way or another, don't worry, you'll get there and you will be setting in no time. If that's what you want to do, of course. I realise that a lot of my followers are other makers, so this is why I am recommending these techniques, but I also realise that many of my followers, like perhaps yourself, like to watch these videos just to get an idea of what goes on behind the scenes. So if you want to learn stone setting, then these tips might be perfect for you. If you don't want to learn how to stone set, let's just carry on with the setting and you can watch and enjoy. So, now that my stone is sitting nice and snug inside its little hole, I can take my push tool and secure it in its setting. I start by pushing the walls of my setting down over my stone to trap it at its compass points, so north, south and then east and west, going in the polar opposite directions. Once these points are secure, I can repeat this same motion around the entire stone, setting it completely, but always setting one side and then its opposite, and doing this around the entire setting. By setting in this opposite motion, it allows the stone to be really secure and avoids any movement of the stone while you're setting. Once the whole stone is nicely set and secure, I can take my same tool and rub it over the shiny new edge that I have created in order to smooth out any little lumps, bumps or imperfections. I then repeat this with my steel burnisher to really make it crisp and sparkling. Et voilà! The stone is set. Now at this point I moved on to adding some kienbu to this piece. Now normally I would do this stage before setting my stone, but to be honest, the inspiration struck me to add gold only after I had set the stone, so I did it this way around instead. It still works fine, it's just a little trickier to do this way and you have a little bit more cleaning up to do, so guys, if you're trying this by yourself and you want to add kienbu and the stone setting, do the kienbu first and then the setting. Do as I say, not as I do. Now, I'm not going to talk you through this technique as I've already dedicated a video on kienbu here on my channel, which I'm going to link to at this point, but I'm essentially using heat and friction with my agate burnishers to fuse a thin layer of 24 karat gold onto my silver. Once I've applied my kienbu, I clean and polish my piece and voila, all finished. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video today on how I flush set a rose petal silver pendant, and I don't know about you, but I think that the stone in contrast with the little bit of kienbu just looks stunning. I also think that this addition of the kienbu adds an extra layer of complexity and preciousness to this otherwise quite simple design. I feel it really picks up the textures of the rose petal in the silver beautifully. So as you can see, by just adding these tiny little touches to an otherwise quite simple design, I have transformed it into something really special and precious. If this video has inspired you to have a piece of jewellery made from rose-petal silver and also include a stone set and a little bit of kienbu, well, you know where to find me through my social media at Lorna Design or through my website lornaromanenghi.com, and I'm always here and happy to help. And remember, this is a kind of design that you can adapt any way that you want. So you can pick your shape, you can pick your coloured stone, and you can pick your addition of the kienbu. And you can really customize this to what you want. So if you would like to commission a piece of jewelry to be made in rose-petal silver or rose-petal gold, then just drop me a line and we can customize it exactly how you want it. Thanks again for joining me today, and if you have enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notifications button, which will keep you up to date to any new videos coming out. Thanks again for joining me in my workshop, and see you next week.